And this is our Hot Topic segment. There's a lot been going on this past week, and we, of course, have our thoughts and opinions as well. So our first topic is going to be, we've introduced, I have, my name is Dr. Sharon Michael Chadwell. I have Chris Dawkins and also Caleb Alexander. And between the three of us, there's a lot to say. And our first topic will be about U.S. Representative from Texas, Al Green. So you've got Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who have historically yelled out, been totally disrespectful in the House, nothing done. Representative Al Green spoke out in support of trying to protect our rights, our benefits and everything else. And what does he do? He gets censured. Plus, we had 10 Democrats who sided with the Republicans on this as well. My question is to those Democrats, why can't we get on code and hang in there together? Because I believe that it's because of those 10 Democrats is why he got censured. What do you guys think?
Absolutely, I do. Again, that just it tells you everything you need to know about the Democratic Party and its state right now. Some of them boycotted. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so why were they even there? Because they already knew what it was. It was going to be a speech full of lies, a hyper-partisan speech. So some of them said, no, we're not going to sit through that. And they both, why didn't all the Democrats just not let him have a half chamber that's empty? Or why didn't they all get up and walk out in unity with Representative Greene, which would have been another thing that they could have done to show some kind of spine, show some kind of support. We're in Texas, so I'll say show some kind of cojones. You know what I mean? And they stood there and they meekly held up signs, politely and meekly. And this is why they're hearing it in their town halls, just like the Republicans are hearing it in theirs. Do something. Show us you have a spine.
That's what Stephen Colbert, he had a sign made up. He said, his sign just said, do something.
Do something, yeah. Do something. That's what they've been hearing.
And I stood with Representative Greene in that he spoke out. He was saying that if you take Medicaid, if you take Medicare, and particularly for, it was going to affect older citizens, it's going to affect children, it's going to affect families. He was really expressing concerns on if we do this, if this is done, these are the people who are going to get hurt. Not only from the Democrat locations, but also from the red states. And so I had no problems. Plus, he says, I don't care what they do. Because what did he do when he got there? When they called his name, all he said was present. You know, so why are these Democrats not speaking up more and standing in sync with one another?
Solidarity. Which I don't understand. There's an individual who calls me all the time wanting to know what is going to be the hot topics for this particular week. And when I mentioned about Al Green, the first thing he said was, well, Al Green was wrong. I said, well, Marjorie Taylor was wrong too. Well, nobody brought up the information or brought up any censor when she hollered out against, I think it was Biden.
Yeah. And then even before that, what was it? I can't remember the guy's name. Obama. You lie. Right.
Scalise.
What was that censure? Right. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So from my standpoint, yeah, it might have been wrong, but the thing is that you've got, and especially younger folks, they are not really willing to go with what the status quo has already been. And when you talk about, what's the girl's name from up in Houston? Dallas?
Jasmine
Crockett and the things that she's done and the speaking out that she's doing. We need those type of people who are saying things because we're not hearing it from anybody else. And we cannot continue to sit back and get our ass kicked.
They are. No, go ahead, Doc. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm in agreement with my brother Chris over there. I mean, there's no such thing as being wrong when you're speaking out
for people's
rights. And these are not people keep calling them entitlement. They're not entitled because they've been paid into. You know what I'm saying? We paid for the Social Security. We paid for You know what I mean? Our taxes pay for this stuff. And so we pay into these systems. And he's speaking on behalf of people who are marginalized, people who are really in need, you know what I mean? People who need these services. People will die. A lot of people die without these services, without Medicare, Medicaid, without being able to get the access to their medicines. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This is critical. And so no, he's not wrong. And to me right now, the Democrats are they remind me of the Wizard of Oz. They need a heart, a brain, and courage. Because they the Tin Man, the Cowardly Lion, and all the rest of them.
And they need to start, even if they may get shut down, start presenting some policies. Mm-hmm. Which is going to cause me to step into this next discussion. So I saw our girl Jasmine Crockett, and she was dancing along to Not Like Us with a couple of her office assistants. So it was fun to watch, I'm not going to lie, but it's kind of like, Jasmine, I don't think we need this right now. We need some policies that the Democrats present. Mm-hmm. And they may get voted down, they may not. But we need to see policies. We need to see some hardcore action from the Democrats. Mm-hmm. We need to see unity within the Democrats. And what was scary about the 10? What was scary about the 10 is this. Could they vote Republican? Because we already had 2 Democrats who were Republican on the slide. So are these 10 that voted with the Republicans, are they Republicans on the slide? Right.
Or I mean, again, are they just spineless? Or are they thinking that because of the Republican victories in the House, the last election cycle, are going to repeat themselves during the midterm? So are they just cowards trying to preserve their seats? Democrats have to be willing to give up their seats. People will vote for you if they know that you are really fighting for them. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things about the Trump phenomenon and the lies that he told, because he convinced 70 million people that he had their interest, that he was fighting for them. Anyway, I mean, at the same time, it's not hard to convince white folks that you white and that you're going to vote white and be pro-white. But he took up their cause of white replacement and ran with it. And people think that you fight for them, no matter whether it's a good cause or a bad cause, as long as you convince them that you fight for them. Democrats have to do the same thing. They have to convince people that they're fighting for them. It's
hard for us to learn that.
Good question. Great question. You know,
because the other thing is that not only do Democrats do it, but then it begins to filter down into black folks. And black folks seem to sometimes do the same thing. It's just like that call that I got, somebody saying, well, it's not good decorum, and he should have been censored. He was expecting to be censored. I'm saying, okay, yeah, they got the majority. If they could have did it on their own, let them do it on their own. Why did you need the 10 Democrats to side with them to be able to do it? I don't get it. I don't really get it.
I mean, I don't get why the Republicans in those districts that rely heavily on Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, West Virginia, South Carolina, Kentucky, all of Appalachia, they should have been calling their representatives. You know what I mean? Because this man was not speaking out for black folks. He's speaking out for Social Security. He's speaking out for Medicare. He's speaking out for them as well. So no matter the color of your skin or what party you're affiliated with, if you're speaking out on behalf of my interests, you're going to have my support. You may not have my vote, because I may not be able to vote for you, but you have my support. And I'm going to let my representative know, hey, you know what I mean? This is what you need to be doing. You know what I mean?
Speak up.
Why is he doing it when you should be doing it?
All right. So let's talk about Angie Stone. When I saw that message come across my Facebook feed, I was shocked. I was really shocked to hear that she died in that awful motor vehicle accident. What was interesting, though, is many people that was in that Sprinter, she was the only one that died. Everybody else walked away.
Right.
Which raises a whole lot of questions based on her video that she did back in December. Did you see it?
Yeah.
What were your thoughts about that?
The video or
Where were your end results? As you know that she died, to me that accident was just weird. The fact that she was the only one that died, and there were 12 people in that van, everybody else walked away.
here's what's really you have to ask, is it all a coincidence? When you talk about Michael Jackson dies, he was buying or had the most expensive catalog, period.
Prince.
When you talk about Prince, he was trying to get his money and his representation to be able to own his copyrights from Warner Brothers.
Whitney.
I'm not so sure I know about
But
Whitney.
there was something funny about her death.
But then you got Angie Stone, who just started talking about, I ain't been getting paid.
Yeah.
Okay. And the money that's supposed to be coming to me from publishing, I'm not getting it. Then all of a sudden she died. So
When she was talking, she said that she got a blood disease because behind something wrong with the needle. I can't help but think that's that dark side of my brain now, that needle was tampered with, and she didn't die. And so she just happened to do that one last concert in Alabama, was it Mobile?
mm-hmm.
And then dies tragically. But the fact again that she was, because of what I saw on those pictures, that sprinter was torn up. How did 12 people walk away from that accident? 11 people walk away from that, and she was the only one.
It's all brings up a lot of suspicion.
But it also raises the question of the music industry and how they do take it, from what we're hearing, is that they take advantage of Black artists. They take their creativity, only pay them just enough to live, to produce more records. So, and then if you start speaking out, then you just die before time.
Right.
And I'm saying before Earth time. I mean, God may have had different had a different time than we do, but all of a sudden they just die. They just die. There was something that you wanted
Joy Reid.
to talk about.
Joy.
Now this is not on the banner, but we're gonna go ahead and slip in. And so to the family of Angie Stone, our hearts and prayers go out to you. And Angie, rest in heaven. So let's go ahead and talk about Joy Reid while we got some time. You want to lead this discussion, Caleb? Yes.
I don't know if I'm equipped to lead this discussion right now because I'm a little upset about her firing. And so just to say about that sister, she was who I watched religiously. Her and Rachel, or really the two people I tuned in for. Joy was, she's the pinnacle of professionalism. She brought our stories to the mainstream. The way she did it, just a magnificent, brilliant sister. And I can't believe that MSNBC let her go. They lost a diamond. They lost one of the best shows, one of the best hosts, one of the most professional folks they could ever have had. And they pretty much whitewashed the network because Alex lost her show. There was, I think, who else lost their show? There are no brown people of color. There are no brown folks in MSNBC with their own shows right now.
Mm-mm.
Well, Saturday they do. They got Michael Steele, and they got that girl who used to be the press secretary for.
Who's main? I'm talking about mainstream shows, weeknights.
Yeah, no, I don't think no weeknights. No,
none. So she came over from CNN and just whitewashed the whole network.
But it's interesting that now she's trying to chase down Joy because of how it was done. The firing was done. And kudos to you, Joy.
Is she gonna give her job back with double the pay?
Walk away. But yeah, bring it back with double pay.
Go back for double. Joy, we need you, but go back for double. You know what I mean? I wouldn't take less than double. I'd make them pay. I really would. Let them see how powerful you are. And I know they probably heard from the community and they now realize how much your show and how much you meant to the community. So I would definitely make them pay dearly to have your brilliance and your talent back.
But the one last thing that I want to say about this is that as a black community, we have enough capital to be able to start and do some of these things ourselves. We can support somebody who does it well. We've got billionaires who are able to create these places for us to be able to work and to watch and to patronize. And we've got to begin to be able to do that, because we cannot continue to have our people working in a place that we don't control and they get fired. And we don't have anything we can do about it. If we were an economy by ourselves, we would come in above Mexico.
What I'm wondering is this though, like, cause I was sitting there, I'm saying like, okay, so when we boycott the MSNBC, you know what I mean? When is that happening? You know what I mean?
You know, someone asked a question about boycotts. Do we boycott for our survival? And I thought that was a very strong question. Do we boycott for our survival? Which kind of tags on to what you're saying, that why don't we just boycott MSNBC? If we had our own communication systems, that are mainstream, to where we can go to a channel and see. It used to be BET. When that station was given up, we lost a heavyweight. Who's the guy that was trying to bought the Weather Network?
Byron Allen.
Byron Allen is, Byron. Instead of trying to buy into a station, why can't you just start your own station? But we also know they got to go to the communications. What is it? FCC.
Well, for me, this is where we're missing the boat altogether. We're missing the boat altogether. If we begin to look at what we can do immediately, those 3 seats that are up in Congress right now are the 3 seats that we need to go after. And federally, that's what we need to do, because you need to give the Democrats the majority in Congress to be able to possibly at least give some feedback or pushback to the Trump administration. And right now, you have no way of doing that. To me, that's the most important thing to do. And that's more important to me right now than any boycott that you can do. You can boycott Target, you can boycott Walmart, you can boycott all of those folks. Our boycott really is not going to keep them from surviving. They're going to wake up the next day, month, year, whatever, after we boycott, and they will still survive. But what's most important are those 3 seats that are going to be voted on immediately, because they're unfulfilled seats and they have to fill those seats, and we need those seats to be Democratic.
Now, speaking about seats, you heard that Abbott is not going to put, in Houston, Turner died. He he took someone's place and then he died, Representative Turner. And so Abbott is not going to allow that election to come up to replace him until later on in the year. So there's a lot of tricks being played to try to keep the Democrats from gaining politically. But again, we need to start thinking, either you vote for your demise or you vote for your future. And again, going back to the question I asked, are we boycotting for our survival, or should we continue to boycott but think about a plan B? And so maybe if we did Byron, instead of trying to get NBC, maybe we need to set up a TV station on Tubby. Or something like that. I know Roland
What happened to Revolt? Didn't Puppy have Revolt at one time? But what happened to that?
I think he was just who was hosting his content.
Oh, Revolt was just hosting his. But yeah, no, I mean, and back to Doc's point about boycott. It doesn't make sense to boycott if you're going to go back to the same store the next day. The store you just boycotted, you run back the next day. and make up for everything you didn't buy. Or I heard folks saying, well, I got to run out and get what I need from Target this week because we boycotting Friday. What difference does it make if you were going to buy everything that you was going to buy? You buy Monday through Thursday and just don't go Friday. It didn't make sense.
On the day of the boycott, he said, I got to go out and get some gas. And I'm saying, how come you didn't get your gas yesterday?
Yeah, it's not going to work. Because one is not, if it's not sustained, it's not serious. You know what I mean? They're not going to feel pain one day when they're going to make it back up the next day.
Well, what black folks can do, I go back to what I said before. Focus on those 3 seats. Now you've also talked about a 4th seat with Turner, Sylvester Turner. But the governor's going to play games with that. But those other 3 seats, we need to work on those. And we need to keep our eye on the prize, which is those 3 seats. Everything else to me is ancillary to that. Everybody around the country, either if you have a PAC in your city, and if you don't, send money to those candidates individually. And I'm sorry, I wish I had all of those names of those individuals who are running so that you know who they are and where to get in touch with them. But it's very important that that's what we do. That's the eye on the prize.
So let's talk about this last topic. Black graves being moved in Virginia to support an industrial park in Virginia. So this has mixed emotions with me as well. I think, in fact, that I'm part Geechee, and I took my mother and myself to Hilton Head with the intentions of seeing roots of our folks there. And a lot of that stuff was gone. A lot of it, all of the markers were gone as far as we were concerned. But there was like a center in the middle of the town where there were black graves. And the idea that someone can actually come in and move those graves for development purposes, for gentrification, is real disturbing. And it's kind of, I got to also thinking, I never hear about any business going in, moving graves of Hispanic people. It's always our graves. I never hear them going into graveyards, moving graves of Jewish people, but I'm always hearing about moving the graves of our people. I never hear them talking about any other group, but it's always our people. So the idea that even in death, our bodies cannot be respected. Our bodies simply cannot be respected, because if a developer wants that patch of land for whatever reason, they can just go in and move the grave. And I remember teaching at a school here in San Antonio, supposedly built on top of an old slave graveyard. And I was in the basement working late at night, and I would hear things, right? And I didn't know what was going on. It was kind of spooky. I never did verify that story, that rumor. But why do they keep bothering our graves?
Yeah, usually they just bulldoze over. Usually they move the headstone and build on top of them. So the fact that they even got to take the time to relocate them, I guess that's progress. I don't know, because usually they just bulldoze them. But this is why history is important, because they can do things like that if they diminish your history. If they diminish your folks' contribution to this country, then that means everything that your ancestors accomplished and everything that your ancestors were, it means nothing. So they can disrespect their graves because they could, they've already disrespected them and their contributions in their history. And that's why it's important to fight to preserve history and to continue to tell it, continue to tell our stories. You know what I mean? Those folks in those graves meant something and still mean something. The fact that they survived is how we survived.
Amen.
That's why we're here.
If you don't take control of that now, real estate is becoming, we're running out of real estate, okay, in a lot of places. So those graves and where the graveyards are going to be very prime property. And you're only beginning to get now a resurgence, not resurgence, but a surge towards cremation. okay? Because real estate prices are so high now to be buried, the costs are just astronomical. So I believe you're going to see more and more of this, which is why we need to put one foot in front of the other and try to build upon the things that we do so that we can control the things that right now we cannot control. And those are one of the things right now that, we can protest and do all we want to do. They know that we're going to do that, but they're going to do it anyway.
Yep.
So to those families in Virginia, I hope you can find some peace somewhere in this. And I hope that if those graves are moved, that your family members are moved with dignity. So any other closing comments? Anything else you want to talk about before we
The
sign
last thing
off?
that I would just say is that for those families, I hope that one of the things that you might be able to do if they want the property, then part of the price of that property would be for them to move those graves to someplace different, and the developer who's going to develop, that's his cost.
Me, continue to fight, resist at every step. That's the way you go. Every challenge that we come across, we have to fight. We have to fight. Sometimes I know it can be exhausting. Sometimes we get overwhelmed. The news gets overwhelming. It seems like we've been bombarded by stuff. They want us to feel overwhelmed. They want us to feel bombarded. You know what I mean? But you have to wear them down as well. Fight, no matter however you got to fight, court, whatever. If you have to bring in the ACLU or any kind of defense funds or whatever, anything you can do. Fight these folks at every single step and make them exhausted at the fight, because that's how you win. You don't win and you don't preserve your rights. You don't preserve democracy. You don't preserve history when you give up. Our ancestors didn't give up. They fought. They fought to survive. They survived the Atlantic crossing. They survived slavery. They survived Jim Crow. They survived Reconstruction. They survived it all because they fought. So fight and resist every step.
And with that being said, this is Contemporary Black Voices, where we tell our story our way.
Fight the power.
PE, fight the power.